The other day, I was checking our solar controller to see what our charge was. We've been outside for a few hours, disconnected. And when I opened up the app, it didn't show that we had it showed our MPPT and it showed our solar panel charge controller, but it didn't show the display to tell me what is the current battery charge. So I checked underneath the sink where I keep this little guy, and I could see seemed like there was almost like this was filled with a little bit of fluid, which kind of surprised me. I could tip it, and I could see like a bubble moving one side to the other, and I thought, oh, okay, somehow this came in contact with humidity. Even though I keep this under my sink, it's actually tucked up and sitting on top of where the batteries are. So it's not in a wet environment. But when I disconnected it and looked back here in the jack, I can actually see green corrosion in here. So I thought, wow, I've just got some kind of corrosion going on here. That's my problem. So I tried cleaning this out with a cheap toothbrush, reconnecting it, nothing happened. And then I realized, oh, hey, I've actually got a fuse on the batteries for this exact thing. So I'm going to go ahead and swap the fuse and then see if this comes back to life. So fuse connection here. After replacing the fuse, got our line here. Let's plug in and see what happens. Nothing. Let's press and hold setup. Nothing. I swapped emails with the folks at AM Solar, and they recommended replacing the BMV 712 head with a new model, the IP67 Smart Shunt. The new model would require removing the old shunt and installing the new shunt, which I really didn't want to do again. I wanted to use the same BMV 712 and only replace the head units. I sent AM Solar the head unit, and they bench tested it and verified that it was dead. Replacing the existing head unit with the exact same head unit would cost $173.95 for the hardware. The new IP67 Smart Shunt hardware cost $117.30. It's cheaper to go with the new unit, but I didn't want to wire it myself. AM Solar quoted me $392 for the hardware and the install. The labor cost seemed well worth it to me. When I connected the BMV 712, it was an absolute pig from how tight the space was. Here's where our story turns sour. Since we're going to have AM Solar install the Smart Shunt, why not have a DC to DC charger installed too? I looked at the install, and it seemed like it might be one step further down the electrical road than I really wanted to venture on my own. We had challenges last summer in Alaska with recharging the truck camper batteries. We're both working freelance gigs, so it's not uncommon for us to use our laptops for 6 or 8 hours a day. This year, we've added Starlink. The power consumption isn't huge, but it's enough to drain our batteries when there isn't good sunshine to charge the truck camper batteries through our solar system. We used a lot of propane last year to run the generator. A DC to DC charger seemed ideal. AM Solar quoted us $280 for a DC to DC charger and $300 to install it. It seemed like a win. We opted to have them install the new Smart Shunt and the DC to DC charger. The total out-of-pocket was quoted at $997.80. During the install, the folks at AM Solar said, "Hey, you don't have a charge from the truck bed to the camper." They showed me that the trailer hitch cables under the truck were very spliced up, with several cables not being connected to anything. Once this was working, the DC to DC would work. It seemed reasonable to us. AM Solar said that they'd write a procedure for me to complete the software setup after the wiring was fixed. We continued on doing our Portland thing, and I didn't rush to rewire the trailer harness. I was going to fix the wiring harness myself, but there were quite a few splices, different colored wires, and I thought the possibility, honestly, of me screwing it up was pretty high. So I took it to a shop, and they kind of expressed some concern as well over the general state of the wiring harness. They recommended replacing the entire trailer hitch wiring harness. We agreed, $263. So, all is well now, right? Not so much. I'm badgering the folks at AM Solar for the procedure on how to set it up. Weeks go by. I finally get a procedure, and I do it, but I don't see that the charger is actually doing anything. At all. More emails, more phone calls. The charger isn't turning on, or it's turning on and off. What to do? The feedback was maybe that the charger wouldn't kick in until the truck camper batteries were below 80% charge. What? So I'm sending screenshots, leaving voicemails, until one day, my email bounces back. I figured the installer quit or got fired, so I sent an email to someone else. No response. Email to the help desk? No response. The website is down. Not good. Frantic Google searching leads me to find that AM Solar has gone out of business. We are middle of nowhere. Actually, we are by the Arctic Circle in Alaska. Roads have been bumpy, bumpy, bumpy. So it kind of leads us several things all coming to an apex here. One, we bumped so much that our power cord has actually gone under the truck camper in the truck bed. So we need to raise the camper so we can move the cable out from underneath it. Two, our DC to DC converter, it hasn't worked since we've gotten it. So I need to keep troubleshooting that. To troubleshoot that, I need to get to the cord, which is in the wheel well, which I can't get to with the truck on the camper. So we're gonna raise the truck, raise the camper, then move the truck forward just about 7-8 feet, just so I can get access to the truck bed. We'll see if we can figure out what's going on. Well, after a lot of cussing, I found I had a break in my line. So this is our power line for the camper from the truck. So I repaired that. That seems like that works. I've misplaced my electrical tape, so once we get the camper back on here, then I'll find my electrical tape and tape it up. What I am doing though, I added a zip tie up here. These are the roughest roads we've been on anywhere we've traveled. So the truck is moving around so much, our line actually ended up underneath the camper itself. So I'm zip tying it, so we'll hold it, the power line here higher in the truck so it can't like fall underneath and get crushed by the truck. Mosquitoes and bugs out here are insane. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to be brief and get back to work, and we'll talk later. I'm going to tell you about the challenge we're having right now. So I've got the truck camper unplugged right now. So we are unplugged. And as you can see, we're getting a solar charge. We're getting 34 watts, 2.5 amps. What's going to happen, I'm going to plug this back in.
Take a screenshot.
Let's do it. Oh, I've got it running right now. It's just recording. So we're plugging this back in. We're going to see, yep, there it is. Now our DC to DC charger has popped up. It's showing. Once our DC to DC charger becomes active, we're going to start seeing it draw current from our batteries here. It might take a minute for it to do it, so we'll start driving down the road and then I can show you what I'm talking about. So it didn't take but a moment, and here we are. So now we're in the truck. Truck is running. Now if we look, we can see our incoming voltage into Cupcake's batteries is minus 1.5 amps. So somehow we have some kind of parasitic draw going on with the DC to DC charger. So I should be charging right now from solar, right? I had an amp, 2 amps, whatever. Now I'm actually negative. So somehow our DC to DC charger is sucking current from house batteries on Cupcake. Which brings us to the presents. The addition of the DC to DC charger is problematic. It isn't working. I found that if I turn off the circuit breaker that's tied to the batteries, the electrical drain stops. That's good. It allows us to charge from our solar when we're driving down the road. We took the camper into a solar shop in Fairbanks for their examination. In summary, They think that AM Solar, the configuration they used, it's working, but at a very, very low current, maybe like 2 amps. The DC to DC charger is acting more like a trickle charger than a DC to DC charger. So the new place think based on how it's configured, using a 7-pin trailer pitch instead of a dedicated line from the alternator, it's not going to get any better. This is just what it is, about 2 amps if things are going well. So they gave us a quote for them to fix it. They crawled around the truck camper and they looked under the hood and they looked under the sink, and they said, we can fix it. We can make it work straight from the alternator to the DC to DC charger, and we'll do it for the low, low price of $1,327. I think this might be a I don't want to do this kind of work quote. What do you think? So in summary, if we look at it, including the trailer hitch work, we are about $868 into a DC to DC charger install that doesn't actually work. I'm loath to throw another $1,300 at this to make it work properly, but I really hate that we've spent this much money and we have nothing to show for it. So what do you think we should do? If you had a DC to DC charger installed, what did it cost you? Are these numbers like in line with what it should cost? Throw us a bone, drop us a line, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time. Speed limit's 50. I'm more comfortable doing 30.